12 noon, we're live on City Line. Hi, I'm Jackie Hall.
And I'm B.T. Bentley. What is life like when the man or woman you love is behind bars?
In a sense, have the families of prisoners also been sentenced along with their loved ones?
How do the families deal with the absence of their loved one, both financially, emotionally, and romantically?
And on a day like today, Father's Day, what do you tell the children if their father is behind bars? And how do you handle the day with them?
Organs to save a life. I'm T. Montier, and today on Newscap, we'll talk about that.
Hi, I'm Harold Anthony. Today I'll feature a producer-performer who's known as the man with the golden touch. Nile Rodgers has the spotlight on today's edition of the entertainment page.
Joining Jackie and me today will be Shala Siddiqui and Kathy Gaither, both of Families of Prisoners Coalition.
Prison sweethearts, their stories and their struggles up next, live on City Line.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us again on this week's edition of City Line. And a happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
And a happy Father's Day to BT.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Our guests today are here to discuss the issue of prison sweethearts. And what we mean are those who have loved ones who are behind bars. With us today are Shala Siddiqui and Miss Kathy Gaither. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Can you tell us a little bit about your situations? Exactly how long have your husbands or mates been behind bars, and just what's happening?
Well, my situation is that my husband has a life sentence, and he's been in the Maryland Penitentiary for 10 years.
And my husband and I have been married for 5 years. He's also serving a life sentence.
In both instances, or in either instance, were you married in prison, or were you married before they began serving terms?
We were married in prison in the Maryland Penitentiary.
And so were we.
You know, we posed a question in the opening, well, we made a statement concerning that in many instances the families of prisoners have also been sentenced, in quotation marks, just as the loved ones. Do you find that is the case in your own situations, Shala?
Yes, indeed. I think that that's a statement that we use a lot. We feel very much that we are sentenced along with our loved ones. It's a problem that most people don't think about or don't realize before they're involved in the situation, and it's a very difficult problem. You serve time right along with the person who's serving time behind bars. Your life is completely changed and completely altered when somebody that you love goes to prison.
Kathy, what about your situation?
Well, I want to agree with Chala in that you are, you know, quote unquote sentenced along with your husband, except that it has to be your attitude in going into a marriage with an inmate has to be a completely selfless attitude. You have to not be constantly reminding yourself that, oh, this is my problem, and oh, I can't do this, and oh, I can't have this. It has to be, you have to sort of get absorbed in it. You have to really become a part of it, and that's the only way you're going to make it.
Give us a sense of what it's like in terms of continuing a relationship. How do you manage to continue a relationship when there's little, if any, physical contact, there's limited visitation, I would imagine. How do you deal with it?
Yes, the visitation is very limited. It varies from institution to institution, but at the penitentiary we have 7 half-hour visiting periods in a month, and that means that you get to see your husband or son or whoever it happens to be for about 3.5 hours in a month. They do occasionally have other kinds of programs that you get to attend, but that's the constant. That's what you always have. And 3.5 hours is not very much to be able to build and continue a relationship with, and you do the best you can with what you have. With that, you grab every little opportunity and you try to make that time the best that it can be, but so often that time becomes tense, or if you have problems and you have an argument or something, you only have 30 minutes to complete that argument and try to end the visit in a way that's amenable. You know how marriage counselors always tell people, don't don't leave with an argument unsettled. Well, in our situation, we have to. There's oftentimes no option.
Give me a sense of what a typical visit might be like.
Well, you go in and you say hello, and it's like sometimes between visits, it's like saying hello after a very long time, or you feel like it's been a long time. You don't really get complete on a visit. You go in, and by the time you get settled down and how are you and how's it going, then you know it's time to go. I was going to add to what Charla said about using your time for quality time. I find that instead of just kind of going and sitting like you do after a while, it can be used for a time to do some work for your husband, to talk about his case, talk about his aspirations, what he wants to do, really talk about your problems. Ironically, it's been, my relationship has been the most fulfilling relationship I've ever had. And it's hard. People will say, well, how could it be? But it just takes it, the situation takes your mind off of the physical kind of thing. It's beyond the physical.
We're going to take a break for just a minute, and we want to invite our viewers at home to call in at 481-1313 if you'd like to take part in our discussion, particularly if you have an experience you'd like to share with us. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
City Line today, we're talking about prison sweethearts with our guests, Shala Siddiqui and Kathy Gaither. Kathy, just before the break, you said that the relationship with your husband, who is in prison, is the most satisfying relationship you've ever had. How could you say that?
I don't know, because we often talk about how it has withstood the test of time, and I don't know, it's just that emotionally it's satisfying for me.
What kind of life do you have on the outside when you're not visiting and constantly living with the fact that your loved one is not with you?
Well, I'm a working mother. I have 2 children, so that takes up a lot of my time, 90% of my time. And when I'm not at home, then I try to be working with friends of prisoners or working with other people that have problems and trying to keep on top of Department of Corrections.
I think one thing that's important is that you really have to keep yourself busy. I mean, they say that about a lot of circumstances, but this is one of those circumstances where it couldn't be more true. You have to keep yourself very busy.
Okay. Let's take a question from our audience. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would like to know if your relationship with your husband is hindered by feeling tempted by other free men.
Well, I would say that that's certainly a problem for a lot of people. I don't think that it's a problem for me because, like Kathy Gaither, this has been the most satisfying relationship that I've ever had in my life. It's been the most fulfilling emotionally. And I think that, most people who've had long-term relationships realize that the emotional aspect of a relationship is the most important. It's the thing that makes a relationship last and endure and makes a relationship withstand the test of time. So, there's no question that the physical need arises, but there is also no question that if you cannot be with the person that you really love and really care about, then celibacy is oftentimes not a difficult thing to accomplish.
So what do you do when the physical need arises? I mean, that's just a natural urge.
You keep yourself very busy.
Well, how long do you keep yourself busy?
Well, I think that for Kathy and for myself, Kathy has 2 children to take up a lot of her time. I have no children, but I work starting about 6 o'clock in the morning for about 4 hours, and I work out a little bit. I do some exercise, and then I go to the Families of Prisoners office and do some work there, and then I might go to a political meeting in the evening, and I don't get home until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and by then it's time to just fall out and go to sleep and get up at dawn the next day.
But Kathy, don't you get lonely?
I do. That's a tremendous part of it. You do get lonely. But you have to know what you want, and once you've made up your mind what you want, then it's just a matter of waiting for it.
Okay.
It's a matter of setting a goal. And when I get lonely, I'm lonely for him. I'm lonely for Salim Siddiqui, for my husband.
Okay. Let's take another question from our audience. Yes, sir.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to applaud the ladies, for sticking behind their husbands and their sweethearts. But I would like to know if there are any real viable programs in the prison system that would promote you or urge you to, to stay with your husbands or your loved ones while you're away.
I would say absolutely not.
Thank you. I was going to say, we probably could have said it in unison.
I think they go out of their way. I think that the prison system goes out of its way to make sure that you're uncomfortable, to make sure that you don't want to be there, to make, that's been my experience, that they try to make you as miserable, as not worth the effort as possible.
Okay, thank you for that question. Very interesting. There are some other things concerning your view of how the prison system handles the families, and we will get into that. But let's take a call from home. We've been inviting our viewers to call us. Good afternoon. You're live on City Line. Do you have a question or a comment? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead and talk.
Yes. I want to explain my situation. My fiance is inmate at Hagerstown, and I was wondering if the ladies could tell me how I could deal with the distance, because it's been 3 years now, and it's been hard to keep going out there.
Well, I feel that that's one of the ways that the prison system makes sure that the relationship is difficult to keep a relationship going, is that they are continually building the prisons further and further away. First Hagerstown, then first Jessup, then Hagerstown, and now Somerset. It's a very difficult thing. Transportation is difficult. It's expensive. I think all you can do is do what you can do. Write letters. It's difficult to keep writing them, but write as often as you can. Even if it's a simple, small postcard, you can find some very innovative postcards. You can make your own. I make them sometimes out of the packaging materials of food that I eat to show him what I'm eating and that kind of thing. Just find innovative ways to keep the relationship going.
You kind of alluded to the distance of some of the prisons as being something that's purposefully done to stymie visitation by families, but can you really expect the prisons to be centrally located for convenience?
No, but community corrections, it should be the most important focus and emphasis in corrections in this country today. And in states where it is an important issue, then the families tend to be able to stay together better. I don't know what the statistic is, but it's much higher than in society, that families break up much faster, and I believe that one of the reasons is that we can't see each other very much.
But community corrections is really a moot issue in this area because it's just not the popular thing right now.
Well, it's not the popular thing, but it's not quite a dead issue yet, fortunately. Right now, a good 40 to 60% of the men that are incarcerated for what would be considered nonviolent crimes. If those men could be taken out of the maximum security institutions that they're in and put in lesser secure institutions where they may have furloughs and be able to spend time with their families, things would be more successful.
Now, you have alluded to the system a couple of times. Kathy, what are your rights in reference to the system? And you don't seem to have any love for the system.
Well, I've experienced that they like you to believe that you don't have any rights, but in reality you do, and it has to be. This is where family support and community support. If you have a husband or an uncle or a mother, you should be involved in every step of their incarceration. If you can get on the phone and make some calls, make yourself available when your husband or your
But what are the difficulties that you perceive the system places in your path?
Mostly apathy, I guess. I don't want to say incompetence, because a lot of the people that you have to deal with along the line just don't seem to care whether what's going on. If you have a problem and you want to talk to someone, you may go to the warden, and the warden's indifferent, and they really like to discourage you, but there are many options available to you. You have only to pick up the phone and call your Department of Corrections or call the institution where the inmate is, and you can have dialogue with people if you need to. But a lot of people just don't want to take the effort, or they feel that they don't have any rights concerning those issues.
I'd like to expand on 2 points that Kathy made. In the 60s, we gained a lot of rights in the prison movement, and I've been involved in the prison movement for that long. But those rights have been eroded away, and we need to get those rights back. And the only way that we can do that is to do it in force. There are almost 13,000 men in prison in this state. And if you count that a man may have a wife and parents and grandparents and a couple of brothers and sisters and a few children, and you multiply that times 13,000. That's a very large constituency of people, 100,000 people out there who, if they all joined this movement, we could get the rights that we need.
Okay, we're going to talk further about those rights specifically, but let's take another call. Hi, you're on City Line, and thanks for calling.
Hi there.
Go ahead, please. Okay, you're going to have to talk directly to us. Please do not listen to your set.
Okay, hi there. My question is that, can you hear me?
You are listening to your set, and you must talk directly to us, or we'll have to click off.
Oh, okay. My question is to the women. They say that the system does not give them enough.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to click off. Thanks for calling anyway. Let's get further into the Bill of Rights that you have written up as a coalition for prisoners. Tell us about those in reference to the families who are trying to maintain contact with prisoners.
Well, one of the rights that we believe is extremely important is to have better visitation for children with their parents. There are only a few hundred women in prison in the state of Maryland, and I think with that small a number that it would not be at all difficult for the state of Maryland to do some innovative things to allow those women to have their children with them for some longer periods of time than the visiting periods. I think that's extremely important. Also, with the men that are in prison, it's extremely important to keep those relationships going.
What sorts of things would you like to see the system do?
Well, again, some kind of innovative programs to allow children to come and spend the day with their mother, perhaps weekends if the mother's not in a maximum security situation. If she's not working during the week and she has an infant child, why couldn't she be allowed to keep that child with her? The same situation with fathers. Why can't families spend more time together? Not just the conjugal visitation situation, which we think is very important, but also just parents spending time with their son, perhaps a weekend type of situation.
Okay, we've got a lot more to discuss in terms of prison sweethearts. Please continue to call us at 481-1313. We'll take a break and return in just a moment. Now here's this week's community calendar.
Hello, my name is Michelle Brown. I represent the Malgood Media Workshop of Coppin State College, an instruction and orientation to TV and radio as well as journalism for minority high school students. Students will meet with broadcast professionals, participate in seminars, produce programs, and tour media facilities. And most of all, it's free. For further information, call me tomorrow at 383-4540.
If your group or organization would like to announce an event, please write us in care of City Line, WJZ-TV, Television Hill, Baltimore, Maryland, 21211, or call us for further information at 466-0013 between the hours of 9 and 5.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. We're talking about Prison Sweethearts with Shala Siddiqui and Kathy Gaither. Right now, we'd like to give our audience another chance to express their views. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I have a sweetheart that's at the Maryland Penitentiary, and he has been there approximately 8.5 years. And since being there, he has obtained 2 Bachelor of Science degrees. And I'm very proud of him. He has been very inspirational to me because he has encouraged me and motivated me to go back to school also, and has also helped me when I have problems at work. He also has helped me to move up the ladder in my field. So it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
But that's good, and it's good for us to hear you say that, but what kind of an impact has this made on you as a person outside of the walls, and if you have a family, what about your family?
Well, I'm very fortunate because it's just me. My children are grown, so all of my time goes to him other than the goals that he and I set with each other. We do have an opportunity to talk on the telephone. And
how many calls a day? How many calls a week?
We are allowed one call a day, approximately 15 minutes. But those minutes become very valuable to you, as the other ladies were saying. And it works. They have a chance to really understand a woman more so. No effect on the men that are in the street. But they have the time to think, and they are very sweet, you know. They're very sweet.
Your relationship sounds almost positive.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
I'm going to get married at the Maryland Penitentiary.
is that already
Yes,
in
I
the
am.
works?
What
Yes.
about the possibility of your mate ever being released so that you can live a quote-unquote normal life on the outside?
His possibilities are just as good as anyone else that is incarcerated. With the laws changing and with the men rehabilitating themselves and the parole board looking at the issues. See, when someone tries to work and prove themselves, a lot of times they will consider it. And this is one of our goals that myself and so many other wives and sweethearts, we talk to our sweethearts about doing this.
Okay, thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
The rights of families.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who are going to say the first thing that they're going to say is that these people are in prison. They are intended to be segregated from society for crimes that they have committed. Why should society then go out of its way to make that time any easier for them?
Well, not so much just to make the time easier, but to make the time productive so that they don't come out of prison worse than when they went in. Statistics show that the rate of recidivism overall is about 70 or 80%, depending on whose statistics you're looking at, where the statistics for the recidivism rate for inmates whose families stay involved, and when the inmate that is able then to go back to that family when he returns to society drops to 21%. That's a very small recidivism rate by anybody's estimates. It's important then for the families to have enough rights to keep the family structure going, to not break that link.
Okay, let's bring our home audience in again. Hi, you're on City Line.
Yes, I'm calling in reference to your show. Okay, the lady made a comment.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, the lady made a comment about getting better systems for the people incarcerated. Well, what I want to ask is, how can you expect them to better the prison system when these people commit these crimes knowing that they're crimes when they commit them? How could they expect better when they know they have to pay the price for the crime?
They are paying the price of the crime. Prisons are not hotels, believe me. I think that it's tragic when people don't understand how high a price men and women do pay who are in prison. They pay an extreme price while they're in
what's
prison.
the price?
And the price should not include having the family break up so that that man has no support structure to return to, nobody to come home to, no life to pull back together, so that when he does get out, then his only option is to go back to crime.
You know, I could hear people out there saying, well, why didn't he consider that before he committed the crime?
And of course he should have considered that. And I'm not saying, as you know, one of the main emphasis of Joan Baez's prison movement in California in the 60s was to tear the prisons down, just destroy them, tear them down. Well, we're not saying that right now. We're not saying that this nation doesn't need any prisons. It just needs better prisons.
Okay, let me ask you, the young lady brought up at least the germ of a question that I've been wanting to ask. What crimes did your own mates commit? Shala?
Okay, I feel that it's detrimental to my cause with the Families of Prisoners Coalition to advertise what crime my husband committed, because then everyone who is listening to me talk will maybe not listen, especially people, you know, some people consider murder the worst crime in the world. Other people consider rape the worst crime in the world.
Okay, but your mate is behind bars for life.
Right. And
What
since
crime
is
did he
serving-
commit?
Well, he's not behind bars for life. Please, let's make a
Okay.
distinction there.
But he's been sentenced
He's
to
been
life.
sentenced to life.
What crime did your mate commit?
And if you know that he's sentenced to life, you know that he committed a capital crime.
What kind, possibly?
Again, I'd rather not answer that question. Again, because it will prejudice people who feel that that's the worst crime from listening to the rest of what I have to say. And it's important to me that they take me and my husband from this day forward. It's from this day forward.
I just wanted to add that my husband has been convicted of a rape charge, but I think it's more important for the inmate not to be prejudiced by his sentence. I think that, you know, it's just something that he needs to rise above and to work with.
I'm not sure that I understand how you can expect to gain the support of people when they've got to wonder. They've got to wonder. They've got to use that as a matter of consideration in terms of whether or not they can support additional opening up of the facilities.
I'm not asking people to. I'm not asking people to give my husband individual support. I'm not asking people to trust my husband. I'm asking people to look at the facts and the important issues involved here and to work on those issues.
But there will be people out there who ask, why won't she say what it is?
I know.
Why is she holding back on that? Why is she hiding that?
They can go right on saying that. And it's not something I'm hiding. Anyone can go down to the court and look it up.
Okay. Kathy, you are a mother. Today is Father's Day. How are you handling that with your children?
Well, we're going to visit later on today, and he's got his Father's Day cards, and we do all the, you know, the normal things, and I try to see him. So, but as far as saying to the children, I have a 2-year-old son, so it's just going to be a regular visit for him. Mostly, it's just, you know, keeping my husband's morale up. The children are great. You know, I have an older daughter by a previous marriage, and she's great. You know, we don't try to let the stigma of the jail kind of run us.
How do the children react to the visits?
My husband and my son are extremely close. I've been taking him since he was old enough to go out. I thought it was important that we establish that rapport right away. They're extremely close, and he enjoys it. It's something that they both enjoy.
What does he say about where his father is, if someone should ask?
And he does. He asks me.
What does he say?
He'll say, "Where's Daddy? Can I go to Daddy's room?" Sometimes I have to pull him out of the visiting room because, you know, he just doesn't understand why he has to go away. But I think it's not as traumatic for him having not had him at home to begin with.
Does he understand that it is prison, that it is just not Daddy's room?
I don't think he understands that it's prison.
But again, he's only 2 years old.
Yes, that's why I'm asking.
Okay. Let's take another question from our audience. Yes, ma'am.
I like to commend both the ladies for taking such a visible stand and making such a good effort. My question is, why have the rights that were established in the 60s eroded?
Well, I think the reason that they have eroded is because focus on this issue has diminished. The interest in this issue has gotten less and less and less because the interest in victims' rights has gotten more and more and more, and rightfully so. Victims should have rights. There's no question about that. The problem is that now we have the scale tilting in the opposite direction. We have got to find some balance. We've absolutely got to have all aspects of this issue represented, and the only way we're ever going to find that balance is for all of the groups, the families of inmates, ex-offenders and inmates themselves, the victims of crime, and the criminal justice system, from the police system through the court system through the Division of Corrections, all get together and find the solutions that are satisfactory for everybody.
Okay. Thank you for your question.
Great
We're going to
question.
take another break.
Excellent
We'll be right
question.
back. Don't go anywhere.
Talking about prison sweethearts and the plight of the families who have loved ones behind bars. We want to go immediately to a question from one of our home viewers. Hi, you're on City Line.
Oh, hello. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, I just wanted to make a comment. I don't have a question. I worked for the Division of Corrections, and I think that it's really great what these people are doing. And I wanted to say that it's really important that the people maintain a sense of normalcy and family. I didn't even know that this organization even existed, and I think that it's really super.
Oh,
Well,
that's great.
We'd certainly like to thank you for your comment. It's far too often that from your side of the fence that we get those kinds of supportive
true.
remarks. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for the call.
Why don't more people know about your organization?
Well, I think it's very hard for us to get the word out. First of all, our resources are very limited. I would say that since the penitentiary is in Baltimore, that's the institution that most people do know about our organization. I think with the current administration in the Division of Corrections and the Department of Correctional Services, we have a little bit better an opportunity to get the word out about our existence, but it doesn't filter down far enough. The wardens won't allow us to advertise within the jails. If we start passing out flyers in a visiting waiting area, we get kicked out of the institution, that kind of thing. And we have to get past those things. We've had one meeting with the wardens. Hopefully we'll have more in the future.
Is there hostility towards families of prisoners?
I would say so. I wanted to add to what Chala was saying about, I think that I would guess that even in our organization, there are people that are just not comfortable with, yes, you know, my husband is an inmate and talking about it. It's enough to come to a meeting and vent your frustrations, but I think that the people in the community, the families of the prisoners, really need to get off being stigmatized by it and just, you know, accept that it's a fact of life and to retain that normalcy.
Let me ask another question. What is the financial burden on the family of an inmate?
I think a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people think that the Division of Corrections takes care of everything, and they don't. If an inmate is indigent, certainly they feed him. It's not a diet that we particularly appreciate, especially those of us who are geared more towards a vegetarian or certainly a non-pork diet. It doesn't satisfy the minimum requirements for those of us who adhere to those kinds of diets. But, and they will clothe him, but with a substandard kind of clothing, in my point of view. Most of us either deliver or mail packages to our loved ones in jail, and those packages are very expensive to put together, and then oftentimes some of the items either don't reach him, or if there's one item that's wrong in the package, they'll send the whole package back, and then that $10 that you paid in postage is wasted, and he doesn't have a package, and he may not have a winter coat to wear.
But what about the families that are outside? What about the financial situation for most families of inmates, though?
I've talked to a lot of women who have the problem with, and this is a catch-22 situation, because since they've allowed inmates to make phone calls, they can make charge phone calls. So that has gone from, what, 45 cents or something to 85 cents a shot. And if you're in love, you know, you want to make that call or you want to just keep those lines going, you know, I've had many instances where people tell me they just can't keep their phones on. I think that's a major concern. But if you are self-sufficient anyway, I haven't really encountered any kind of financial problems aside for just keeping your telephone bills under control. And packages are very expensive. And that's why we want to encourage families of prisoners to get involved, because if everybody works as a unit, as opposed to just the wife doing it or the husband doing it or the daughter doing it, then we can really alleviate a lot of the problems ourselves.
But there are a lot of families who do suffer financially.
There are a lot
what kind
of
of support is there for them?
Very little support except for the usual public assistance type support, and our organization certainly refers people to that support. One problem is in the unfortunate event if an inmate should die while he's in prison, and if the family cannot afford to claim the body, then that body is donated to science for experimentation, and we want that to stop. We're working on that in Annapolis, and we hope in the 86th session to have that solved.
Okay, we appreciate your coming today, but before we leave, we want to be sure that we get an address for the organization for those families or those friends of families of inmates who would like to have further contact and so forth. Give us the address and the phone number.
The address is the Families of Prisoners Coalition, 1st floor, 1 East Mount Royal Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202, and the telephone number is area code 301-727-8130. Our office is right here in Baltimore City.
All righty. Shala Siddiqui and Kathy Gaither, we appreciate your coming by to talk about the coalition, to assist families of prisoners. Thank you for coming by, and we will put that address up one more time before we leave. Thank you again.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break now and come back with T. Montier in the newscap, so stay with us.
Good afternoon. Topping today's newscap. According to a report issued from the Census Bureau, the nation's black population grew at twice the rate of whites between 1980 and 1984. The Bureau's latest annual population figures by race, age, and sex indicate that America's black population totaled 28.6 million in July 1984, up 1.8 million or 6.7% over the 1980 census count. The white population rose from 195.1 million to 201.4 million, up 3.2%. The total U.S. population for 1984 was 236.7 million, and that's including the armed forces overseas, up 9.6 million or 4.2%. So often in life, many of us take for granted a healthy working body, a healthy heart, lungs, kidneys, but there are those who don't have that luxury, who don't have healthy internal organs. These are the people who are waiting for a second chance in life, waiting for an organ to become available to them. But just how long is that wait, and how great is that need? To discuss these points and others as they relate to organ transplants is Dr. James Burdick, Associate Professor of Surgery in the Division of Transplantation and Vascular Surgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Dr. Burdick, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be here, T.
Could you tell us how great is the need for organ transplants and organ donors?
The need is great. The techniques, both operatively and in terms of immunosuppression, have improved very gratifyingly over recent years. Kidney transplant recipient lists are growing each year, and a doubling or tripling of the organs available would easily be used by the patients that we have waiting around the country on the computerized lists for an appropriate organ to become available, and in addition other organs are more and more able to be transplanted successfully.
What organs are there, Dr. Burdick, that are actually in demand? Are some in demand more than others, would you say?
Particularly kidney transplant recipients right now are in the great majority. This is because this has been going on for a long period of time, and the patients can be maintained for long periods of time on hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis. In addition, we have an increasing need for heart transplant organs, for heart-lung organs, for pancreas, and for liver.
Dr. Burdick, talking about organ transplants is a very sensitive topic, and some people don't want to talk about it. What is your experience in terms of the receptivity of people and getting them to understand the need and the necessity to donate organs?
Many people are remarkably receptive. Certainly, certain families, when approached, have not thought about this beforehand, find it very difficult to deal with in the usual setting of the sudden death of a loved one, and are unable to really feel right about giving permission to donate organs of a loved one who's recently died. They may be concerned about such things as deformation of their loved one, which is not a major issue in fact. But other people are quite able to think about this, may have discussed it or thought about it beforehand, and are very receptive, so that in fact the incidence of giving permission when a family is approached is quite high. We do feel that increased awareness on the part of people and their capacity to come forward and offer such possibility is one thing that would contribute to an increased supply of organ donors.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. James Burdick.
It's been a pleasure.
Briefly in other news, before he reaches the age of 19, 1 in 6 black male children will be arrested by some law enforcement official More than 10,000 black males between the ages of 15 and 19 die each year in homicides. It is for these reasons and others that the Baltimore Urban League is sponsoring a workshop entitled Saving Our Black Male Children, a Community Responsibility. That workshop will be held next Saturday, June 22nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Douglas High School. For more information, contact Richard Rowe at 523-8150. Today marks the 9th anniversary of one of the bloodiest confrontations the country of South Africa has ever seen. It was on June 16, 1976, 9 years ago, that dozens of black South African youths were gunned down protesting, among other things, the mandatory instruction of Afrikaans in the schools of South Africa. To commemorate this tragic date, a rally will be held tomorrow, June 17th, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. in front of City Hall. Maryland Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell is among those invited to speak. For more information about the Soweto rally, contact Mary Benz at 366-3300. And finally, Robin Marie Ransom, an ambitious and public service-oriented graduate of Notre Dame Preparatory School, is City Line's Student of the Week. Robin is the first black to be inducted into the 12-year Alumni Society at Notre Dame. She will be entering St. Mary's College this fall, majoring in psychology. Robin is a member of Ebenezer Baptist Church and advocates community public service. Among her hobbies are cooking, horticulture, and shopping. Congratulations and continued best wishes to Robin Marie Ransom, City Line's Student of the Week. And that is today's Newscap. I'm T. Montier. More of City Line up next. Have a good day.
Hello, I'm Harold Anthony. You know, for some time now, I've been meeting with you here on Sundays and telling you about artists and the groups they've served their tenure with by performing background vocals or filling in with background instrumentals or simply running out to get the beer. Well, my featured artist is none of the above because he has established a reputation as being an integral part in the shaping of the careers of many of the people that we recognize today as superstars. His name is Nile Rodgers, and he was formerly a member of the innovative vocal group called Chic. Legend has it that Nile was born in the middle of the Triborough Bridge en route to Queens Hospital and spent most of his early years growing up in Greenwich Village and Hollywood. While he was very young, he discovered that he had a unique gift to be able to squeeze a melody out of any instrument he could get his hands on. As Nile grew, so did his talent, and he soon found himself a member of the house band of the famed Apollo Theater, where he constantly had to learn new acts to play with artists such as Aretha Franklin and Nancy Wilson. Soon he began to produce and quickly built a reputation of being the most talented producer around. David Bowie, Mick Jagger, Diana Ross, Johnny Mathis, and Sister Sledge are just a few of the superstars who anxiously sought his expertise. Now he's paving his own road, and all indicators suggest that he'll duplicate the success that he found as one of the driving forces behind the vocal group Chic. From his latest LP called B-Movie Matinee, here's Nile Rodgers.
Let's go out tonight. Oh, oh, out tonight. It's my hell.
That was the hot new sound of one of the most innovative performers out there today, Nile Rodgers with Let's Go Out Tonight. Well, those dog days are approaching fast. And of course, the warm summer months in Baltimore mean hot outdoor jazz, and 1985 is no exception, as the Baltimore Showboat returns to the Inner Harbor and Midtown music once again plays at Hopkins Plaza. Throughout the summer, Baltimore's top jazz musicians will be cruising the harbor waters aboard the city's floating musical stage, the Baltimore Showboat. Harbor visitors will be entertained by the sounds of ragtime, Dixieland, and bebop on Tuesday through Sunday, now through Labor Day weekend. Meanwhile, Hopkins Plaza lunchtime regulars will enjoy the return of Midtown music every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, now through August 30th. Musicians representing all the art forms of jazz will take to the Plaza stage with noontime performances. Midtown Music in Hopkins Plaza is produced by the Baltimore Office of Promotion and Tourism and sponsored by the Music Performance Trust Fund. For more information on the Midtown Music schedule, call 837-INFO. And finally, this year's 13 Baltimore UB Blake Jazz Festival invites all Baltimore area jazz artists to compete for the opportunity to perform on the same bill as Bob James at the Pier 6 Concert Pavilion Sunday, September 1st at 8 p.m. You know, for 3 years now, the festival has encouraged local jazz performers and groups to submit a tape recording of their work for review by a panel of expert judges who then select 10 semifinalists to compete for a $1,000 prize and the opportunity to perform at the festival itself. Interested performers and groups should submit their cassette tapes along with the group leader's name and the names of the participants performing on the tape, along with an address and phone number to the Baltimore Office of Promotion and Tourism, 34 Marketplace, Suite number 310, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202. Remember, entries must be received no later than July 1st. For additional information on the Jazz Quest, call the Baltimore Office of Promotion and Tourism at area code 301-752-8632. And with that, I'll have to wrap up another edition of the Entertainment Page. I'm Harold Anthony, hoping you all have a great week.
We're just about ready to put another city line to bed, but before we do, we have a few housekeeping matters. Number one, we want to give you the address one more time for the Families of Prisoners Coalition, and it's 1 East Mount Royal Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21201. The phone number is 727-8130. If you are a family member of a prisoner or if you simply want to support the effort, that's the information.
That's right. And we also want to invite you to join us next week when we'll be talking about Stop the Killing. Stop the Killing. We want to get the young people, the guns out of their hands, and try to put an end to this violence. If you want to be with us, by the way, our guest will be Congressman Perrin Mitchell. If you want to be part of that studio audience, please call us at 481-1313 for seat reservations. Call now.
Exactly, and that's this coming week's show, and the week after that, which is June 30th, we will have a show on Rastafarians and the Rastafarian community. And we also invite you to call us for seat reservations at 481-1313.
Okay, I guess that about wraps it up. We've had a very interesting show this week, and I hope that next week's show will bring out some of the same important information.
Exactly.
Thanks for being with us on BT Bentley.
I'm Jackie Hall. Have a good Sunday.
Bye-bye.